It's November 10th, so it's Tuesday, and we're in Chapter 5, Section 2, if you're following along in the book. So yesterday, you remember, we learned perpendicular bisector and angle bisector. And today we have two new ones, median and altitude. Okay, so median comes from the angle. It's just a segment that cuts a side into two equal parts. All right, so now I have what's called a centroid, which is three medians. So they all meet in the middle at point P, and point P is called your centroid. Now this is the only one that actually has math involved. This is a 2/3 ratio, and we'll deal with that in a minute, okay? So that's called a centroid. Next we have altitude. So think of a plane. If a plane is flying in the sky, it says 10,000 feet above, that means you draw a line straight down and it makes a right angle with the ground. So that's called an altitude. Kind of looks like perpendicular bisector, but does not cut this in half. And the last one is called orthocenter. That is the point in the middle of the triangle where three altitudes meet. Okay, so of course you see the little right angles. Okay, so now, based on yesterday and today, let's identify what each one is. So if it just cuts an angle in half, it's called an angle bisector. So you have to look at the markings. This only has a right angle, comes from the top, so that is called an altitude. Now notice it does not cut the bottom in half, that's what makes it different. This one, oh look, it's right angle and cuts it in half, so this is your perpendicular bisector. Perpendicular bisector. Okay, and then this one just cuts a side in half, nothing else. So that's our new one again, which is called a median. Okay? All right, so you're going to have a worksheet that you're going to have to figure out the math involved. So let's kind of walk through this. You'll hear me say long and short. So if we just look at CF, if it comes from the angle, that's the long one, and then the other one's the short one. Okay? So let me kind of try to walk you through this. FC is 12, so I'm saying this whole line is 12. Well, if G, which is a centroid, is 2/3, I need to find how much this is. Okay, the easiest way to do these, if you have the whole thing, divide by 3. That'll give you 4, right? So 4 is the short, double it for the long, so you get 8. Okay, I know that's too fast, so we'll do another one. If AD is 15, so the whole side is 15, divide by 3, because it's 2/3. So I divide by 3, I get 5. So 5 is the short. Well, if the whole thing's 15, 15 minus 5 is 10, or just double it. So now I look what I want. I want GD, which is 5. I always find the other two. BG is 4, so that's the little, right? Because it doesn't come from the angle. So if the little is 4, double it for the big, so that would be 8, and then if I wanted the whole thing, I would add them together. So what do I want here? GE, which is 8. So if you have the whole thing, you divide by 3, okay? And then if you have the short, you double it for the long. If you have the long, you divide it by 2. It's a bit confusing. So let's try one more before I put you on your own, okay? So PM is 9. So I have this whole thing. So I have the whole, divide by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3, so that's the short one. And then you take it times 2 to get the long. And then you just go back and fill these in. That'll be 3, that'll be 6. You following? RQ. 2.5, so that's this segment here. So that's the short. If I have the short, double it for the long, so that would be 5, okay? And then NQ, the whole thing, is 7.5. You may have to watch this again, unfortunately, because it gets a little confusing. LR is 12, so again, I write it on there, that's the long. So if I want the short, it's half of the distance, that would be 6. And now once LO the whole thing, so how long is this? 12 plus 6 is 18. Okay, good luck on your worksheet. Watch this part again if you need it. All right, see ya.